The owner of the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury WNBA team is making moves to sell them. Robert Sarver announced today that he has started that process. He was suspended by the NBA for a year after a long investigation revealed troubling behavior, comments that he made where in conversations he repeated the N-word that was used from others. Also, his how he, comments made to women, but also inappropriate contact with men. He's on the team for some 17 years. Again, he was fined $10 million, suspended for a year. But I want to read y'all. This is the statement he released today. And this really shows me, I think, the level of arrogance, Monique, Larry, and Robert. He goes, quote, "As a man of faith, I believe in atonement and the path to forgiveness. I expected that the commissioner's one-year suspension would provide the time for me to focus, make amends, and remove my personal controversy from the teams that I and so many fans love." But this is the line that I'm laughing at. "But in our current unforgiving climate, it has become painfully clear that this is no longer possible. That whatever good I have done or could still do is outweighed by things I have said in the past. For those reasons, I am beginning the process of seeking buyers for the Suns and Mercury." Now, first of all, one of the minority owners of the Suns wrote an open letter last week calling for him to step down and sell the team. PayPal, which sponsors their logo on the uniforms, said they were suspending their sponsorship until that happened. The National Basketball Players Association, executive director, she came out publicly saying he needs to sell the team. Other NBA players did the same thing. But the thing that gets me there is, Monique, this in our unforgiving culture, dude, they busted you for crap you were saying for 17 years. And now all of a sudden, because people are saying, I don't want to be in business with you, now all of a sudden, I'm a man of faith. This just unforgiving culture. Yeah. And what they're saying is, we can forgive you, but take your punk ass on. You can't be the owner of the team.
Right. It has nothing to do with forgiveness. It's whether people want to be in business with you or not. It's whether people want to continue to contribute to the heaping of wealth that you already have. He's not going to come out of this any kind of loser. And so he, of course, the arrogance is boundless. And you think you can say, people similarly situated to him think they can say, my bad, and that they will, I mean, whether we're talking about him or talking about Trump or talking about whoever, these megalominds truly believe that they are in a different stratosphere. And for a very long time, they have been. So this whole thing about the chickens coming home to roost is foreign. And that statement is exactly what I would expect.
And Larry, here's the deal. For years, a lot of free agents wouldn't even go to Phoenix because it was a dysfunctional franchise. They made Chris Paul goes there. They made to the NBA Finals, almost won the chip. But the whole deal here is, hey, Robert, folks don't have to be in business with you. And I said last week on this show, when that minority owner came out with his letter and then PayPal came out with theirs, I said, you're going to see other companies who will say, we want no part of your company. And guess what? When you start losing money, yeah, you're going to sell. Now, here's the deal. He's not the sole owner. Now, they let the group that bought it, they bought it for $400 million. This franchise is going to sell for $2 billion. He's going to make a boatload of money. But here's the deal. It's only 31 of these. And you know what? He ain't going to have one of them.
Yeah, it's an important point, and this is there's some important layers to this. First of all, the expose that was written a few months ago that uncovered all this racist behavior over the last 17 years. But it's important, Roland, to talk about NBA Commissioner Silver's failure when he came and announced what was going to happen last week. That it was a failure to say that he was going to be forced to sell this team like Sterling was when the LA Clippers. That was a failure. But it took a combination of, like you said, it talked about PayPal because the bottom line is always money. Go ahead.
But Larry, he couldn't. No, he couldn't because Adam Silver is an employee. Adam, just like Roger Goodell, the owners, first of all, they're 30, not 31. The owners own the league. So in the case of Sterling, that wasn't Adam Silver said, I'm making a call. That was the owners like, yeah, he got to go.
Yeah.
So if there were enough owners who would have told Silver, yo, Sarver got to go, he would have pulled the trigger. But Adam Silver himself, he is an employee of the NBA.
No, you're right. And what I meant to say is the Board of Governors, right? So you're right. If they had the votes to get him out of there, the Board of Governors, which is comprised of the owners, would have voted him, would force him to sell the franchise. But I would want to give a shout out, and certainly not to PayPal, but to LeBron James and Chris Paul, who publicly talked about that they felt like what the NBA did wasn't quite enough. And it wasn't. So you're right. Also, he's going to make a lot of money from selling the team. But it's also the case that no one, like you said, Roland, I'm an NBA fan. Nobody wanted to play for the Suns because they knew all the dysfunction was taking place. One of the great things about the organization, besides the owners, they have a black GM. But in the last couple of years, they hadn't had this much success in the last several years. In fact, when they had Charles Barkley. But he's going to make a lot of money. But the bottom line is, I'm glad he was being forced behind the scenes to sell the team. And it's in the best interest of the NBA. But also, like I said, I was glad you talked about the Players Association, but some of the top stars coming out and saying that something else should be done and he should not be an owner. So that won't happen.
Robert, this also shows you the difference between the NBA and the NFL in terms of the reality is the NBA smaller number of players. And then when you have your star players, and again, remember the Clippers deal. The NBA literally was on the verge of players saying, we ain't playing in the playoffs. So they knew they had to do something. So what you have here, NBA players are far more, they're able to, I don't use they have power. They have leverage and influence that is different than players in the NFL in terms of how the leagues are set up. But go ahead.
Well, you got to look at Chris Paul in this situation. And if you're an owner who has done anything racist, you might not want to sign Chris Paul to your team because apparently when he shows up, Donald Sterling got to sell his team. Starver got to sell his team. So if you are doing anything even slightly racist, do not trade for Chris Paul. I think that's very important. But you make an important point, Roland, because the difference between the NBA and the NFL are a couple things. One, guaranteed contracts. People have a lot more control and legitimacy when you have a guaranteed contract and not a, look, I'll cut you on Wednesday if you say anything contract, which you have in the NFL. Secondarily, celebrity and star power. The fact that NFL players play with a helmet on takes away a large amount of their marketability. This is why the NBA is a player-driven league, and the NFL is a very much a brand and a team-based league. College football is very much a coach-based league, if you want to make the comparison. So because of this, the players have far more cachet than the teams. There are people who are LeBron fans. Whatever team LeBron is on, that is the team they are a fan of. They ain't give a damn about Cleveland when LeBron was in Miami. LeBron goes back to Cleveland. They're a Cavs fan. LeBron goes to the Lakers. They're a Laker fan. That's the way things work, which gives players a lot more power. They have a lot more ability to speak out against these owners because at the end of the day, third thing, being a salary capped league, a hard salary cap, means that if I'm a match player, I can go anywhere in the league and make the exact same amount of money. There's not really much that you can say if I want to leave the Phoenix Suns. This is DeAndre Ayton just did, where the Suns didn't want to pay him his money. He went to Indiana, said, give me the money. Indiana gave him the money. The Suns had to match the offer just to get his services back. That's the difference in the contractual nature there. But I don't want to throw Starver out completely from society. I think that if he's a person who legitimately wants to make a difference, wants to make a change, wants to redeem himself in the public eye, that there is work that can be done. He can work with community organizations. He can be ensuring that he is focusing on helping minority businesses, helping black colleges. There are things, if he can use that money he's going to get from the sale of this team to help and enrich minority communities, to help women-run organizations, then he can redeem his his name in the public eye. So as opposed to simply throwing him out of society as we did with Donald Sterling, where we haven't heard from him since, I don't think he actually had any interest in redemption thereafter. I think that if he is genuinely committed to doing so, there are organizations he can work with that can help him to understand the wrong that he's done and hopefully change his legacy, because at the end of the day, he's gotten to a point of money where, you got God levels of money. So that's not the point anymore. It's how will people remember you hereafter, and do you sincerely want to make the change you say you want to make?
The only pushback I'll say there is he was saying he wanted to change when he was suspended because he still owned the team.
Mm-hmm. Well,
now the question is with selling.
Is it sincere?
Well, no. Again, it's real simple. If you're actually committed to that, let's see what you do. But now, if you have to sell the team, it might be, well, hell, I was just saying that for the PR purposes. But we'll see what Sarver does. We'll see. But he can do what you're saying, but I'm not quite sure it's going to be the case. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?